and the people who love them.
Hello, my friends. This is Mickey Desai coming to you from Atlanta, Georgia. We have a full house around the table, and we may still get a fifth. Beka, are you with us?
I am.
Ben, are you there?
I'm here.
And Dawn, can we hear you?
Present.
Excellent. Hopefully Dawn won't encounter her audio gremlins today. There's a good chance that Ronnie may jump in on this episode, so we'll keep an eye out for him. In the meantime, we have a full agenda in front of us, so let's just jump right in. Start today's show with a moment of grand trivia auto. And so I will ask the question, and we can answer it at the end, as always. Who opened up the first drive-in gas station? So was it Standard? Was it Gulf, Esso, ESSO, or Exxon? Those are your choices. Who opened the first drive-in gas station? Standard, Gulf, Esso, or Exxon? We'll answer that at the end of the show. Beka, sounds like you need to say something.
Well, when you say drive-in gas station, are we talking full-service gas station?
Yes, that is my assumption.
Okay.
Yeah.
As opposed to going down to the hardware store and filling a jug with whatever they had on hand.
Right,
or pump yourself, or
having
what
a truck show
have
up
you,
at your
yeah.
house or whatever, yeah. So,
I have the Back to the Future in mind as I think about that. That where he goes back to the future and they come out to the car and like they do everything and they wash the windows and
like
check
4
the
people come out and
dipstick.
an army of people descends on your car and they send you home and it costs you $3, right? So
exactly.
Right. And you tip a nickel or something, yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean they even tested the oil. They pulled the dipstick out. They put the hood up. I mean, it was almost like a NASCAR race.
Yeah, I think I was in New Jersey the last time I saw anything like that happen.
It's by law in New Jersey. You still cannot pump your own gas.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my goodness, no! I went out, and this was a couple years ago. I don't even know if it's still there. I actually deliberately looked around for a full-service pump somewhere. I did find one, and it was, of course, in Buckhead. But other than that, it's just you don't find it here.
No, you don't. You don't. I'm looking at our list. We actually have a pretty full list today. I think one thing that we all want to talk about is the Ford Bronco. Ben put it on our list, but I think we all have something to say about it. Ben, what stands out to you about the new Ford Bronco?
Well, I read just this morning that Ford has announced that it's, and I'm really not sure the context, but it's apparently going to be officially released on July 9th. I don't think that means dealers will have them that day.
See,
Sorry, Beka. And that the blurb I saw, which I think came from Car and Driver, said something about a price of about $30,000, which, we're all saying to ourselves, yeah, that's probably just the starting MSRP that no real customer will ever see.
Missing the doors and everything.
And the wheels and engine.
Well, and I had the article I had read a couple. I think one of my primary ones was through Car and Driver as well. It was saying slated to hit dealerships in July. I don't remember the exact date, and I did accidentally close down that tab too.
Well, maybe so then.
But there were a lot of interesting points on the Bronco in that article as well. According to it, it's not just with the tonneau coming off, but that the roof as well comes off and the doors come off. So they're angling to get in on some of the Jeep market there. Plus it has a 2-door and a 4-door model. So again, the Jeep Wrangler territory. So that was really interesting that more panels are going to come off of it than used to. And have more door options.
Just based on what I've seen, I'm insanely curious about this thing. And if I ever make any real money again, I will happily become Ford's customer just for this vehicle. It looks really promising.
Well, and you guys know I don't like newer cars. I like older cars, but this one has me chomping at the bit. And I'm trying to figure out, do I still know anybody at a Ford dealership? I used to know all kinds of people at Ford dealerships. They've all since moved on, but I would love to be there on the day that the Broncos arrive and record something if I could figure out, who do I know?
What were you about to say, Ben?
I was going to say, as far as the different body setups, the earliest ones did have a removable hardtop, and I have seen some of that generation driving around without doors too. So, but if this one makes it easier to do all that, then great.
Yeah, absolutely.
60-something models that
right.
are Jeepish, yes.
Which is what the styling of this one, I think, is kind of leaning toward anyway.
Definitely, definitely.
And Beka, if I can help you knock on any of that doors, let's put our heads together and go do that. I'm all for playing the networking game and making that happen. I think it would be a lot of fun.
Oh, definitely.
So while we're on the topic of Fords, you wanted to talk about a recall.
Yeah, there was a big recall announced just, I think it was 2 days ago. And I had a couple of points on it. First of all, the little teaser that popped up was something along the lines of, if you drive a Ford, the brakes will fail and the doors will fling open while you're driving down the road. And what a crazy headline that gives you all kinds of images in your head. And it really makes me understand how some cars get a really bad reputation when it's not always justified. Because that's an insane headline, right? So I looked deeper into it. It involves a latch issue, which Ford is not a stranger to having latch issues. One is brake fluid leak, and they don't even affect the same cars. Huh. So it's the headline was nowhere near what was actually going on. But for anybody who does drive a Ford, and I wasn't able to get the years involved out of the article. They went on and on about things, but never actually listed if there was specific years involved in this. There are apparently 2.1 million cars being recalled over a door latch issue. Apparently they're opening doors now instead of doors sticking this time. I guess they just can't quite tweak it right. And this is on, for anybody who does drive a Ford, it's Focus, Fusion, Fiesta, Escape, C-Max, Lincoln MKC, Mustang, and Transit Connect van. As far as the brake leak, it's the F-150 that it affects. And they're recalling 344,000 because of, and I quote, caused 7 low-speed accidents. 7. So they're going to recall 344,000 F-150s because of a leak that might have caused 7 accidents.
I can't help but think of that line in Fight Club where, there's that one guy who's hired to figure out the payout on insurance cases versus the cost of actually doing a recall. Ford does not mess around with that data. Something else is up.
There's got an actuarial punch in some numbers on that because that's a big recall.
Yeah.
Well, I had my own run-in with a different Ford vehicle way back when my kids were still little. I had a Ford Edge. It was the very first year of it, 2007. And the HVAC system, the AC system would blow just fine and cool off the front cabin. But, my kids couldn't talk and tell me when things were wrong. And I encountered a problem one day where one of my boys almost had heat stroke.
Oh, boy.
By the time I figured out, something was really wrong, and you can't just look in the mirror. You have to get out and look to see. He was bright red and sweating and lethargic, but I couldn't see all that in the mirror. And come to find out, Ford was well aware that the HVAC system could not properly cool the back cabin. And they had some ridiculous, air quote, fixes for it and refused to recall it just because no child had died yet.
Oh,
I was furious. So that was when I said the Edge has to go.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that's how, and that then goes into how I got the G8. But so it makes me scratch my head. Yeah, 7 accidents, low speed accidents, so minor accidents, yet they won't recall the Edge over heat strokes in children.
It's craziness, but let's encourage folks to definitely look up those recalls and get their vehicles checked because just don't mess around. Just please get it done.
Oh,
no,
definitely.
It's going to get hot this summer.
Yeah.
So.
Well, the HVAC was never recalled, so hot or not, Ford doesn't care.
Ben, correct me if I'm wrong here, but heat and brakes is not a good idea either, right?
In what regard?
Like, isn't it easier to airlock your, what's the word? Not airlock.
Seize up.
There's this phenomenon where basically you're working your brakes so hard in hot weather that you're boiling the brake fluid and it decreases the efficacy of your brakes.
I don't think the the weather temperature really affects that very much,
Oh,
because
okay.
the brakes produce a real big load of heat all on their own.
Right.
On any day, whether it's a hot day or a cold day, if you
Right.
have just come to a stop, you do not want to touch your brake disc.
Right.
And so the temperature the brake makes compared to the outside world is such a difference that I don't think your ambient conditions are really going to affect it very much.
Okay.
No, that's what I was thinking. There are heat issues or, cooling needs for brake systems, but yeah, the outside doesn't affect it. I know sometimes there's issues with glazing or warping of rotors or whatnot with various heat, but yeah, I don't think even the Georgia summer will do anything.
The one corollary to this, and this doesn't really apply much in Georgia either, is altitude. At high altitude, the air is thinner and brakes don't cool as well. And I touched on this in the safety video that I made on Pikes Peak last year. In fact, on Pikes Peak, there's a place on the downhill road where, the uphill and the downhill are the same, but there's a place at one checkpoint where everybody coming downhill has to stop while a park ranger aims a infrared thermometer at their brake disc.
Wow.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Brake fade. That's the term I'm looking for.
Make sure they don't fail as you're coming down the mountain, though.
Yeah, because the air is so thin up there, the brakes don't dissipate heat as well as they do at low altitude.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Same thing with the engine's cooling system too.
And is that any time of year?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just because the air is so thin at altitude that air has even less thermal mass than it does closer to sea level, which means the air just can't absorb heat as much.
Yeah, there's not enough air around your brake rotors to actually cool them off. That's essentially the issue. Yeah. No, in fact, my story on that line is when we did the Pikes Peak thing, and I was not even a teenager at the time. My dad was driving a rental down, and none of us realized he was burning his brakes because we just couldn't smell them until there was that mandatory pullover. And the ranger said, you need to take a break and let your car cool off for about an hour before you start driving again. And,
see, that's something I've never encountered out here. I've never gotten to go out Colorado or anywhere like that. We've got the Appalachians, but still, nothing compared. And I've just never encountered anything like that. That's crazy.
Yeah. And the ranger told us, he said, keep it in very low gear and don't upshift until you get off the mountain. So,
and when I was coming down last year in that V8 Mustang, he looked at my brake and he smiled and said, "You're doing it right. Carry on." I was using my low gears and things. Yeah.
Well, yeah, that people forget that's what they need to do is downshift.
Mm-hmm.
They don't do. I was in West Virginia, the Appalachians, in Pennsylvania last summer, and we were in a big Ford motorhome. It was a Winnebago, and it was a Ford chassis and everything, I kept telling my sister, downshift, come on. Out the brake. She's like, oh yeah, I forgot. My dad's in the back seat going, downshift.
But if you're in a Ford automatic,
Yeah.
be careful you don't burn out your transmission too.
Well, that's the thing. That's exactly right. I was going to say, you're saving your brakes, but you're having your transmission absorb all that kinetic energy.
And Ford has never been great with their transmissions.
Right. So I have one short topic, and then I want to talk about Dawn's, the thing that Dawn put on the agenda for this episode. But my very short topic is, I read somewhere something that might have been a clickbait title on top of a trash article, which was that hand sanitizer in a car can start a fire.
What?
And the claim is that in some cars, a bottle of exposed hand sanitizer, the bottle itself focuses the sunlight on the sanitizing gel inside, and it ignites and starts a fire.
I'm assuming they're claiming the alcohol content is high enough that's what leads to it?
Well, it's the alcohol plus the idea that the bottle is acting as a focusing lens.
Then I would think there'd be bigger issues in the hand sanitizer industry, like, people who grill out or smoke or something. Don't light anything with hand sanitizer on your hands.
Yeah, I think this all sounds like baloney to me. Well, first, I would start with its alcohol percentage, because even if you buy the liquid rubbing alcohol, most of that is 70-71%, which it's a fair amount of water. That doesn't burn all that well. Add in a gelling agent and things like that.
Here's one website that says, can leaving a bottle of hand sanitizer in a hot car cause it to catch fire? It says the short answer is yes, but it's unlikely.
I don't really buy that either, though, because it's got enough water content that if that bottle gets hot, that water is going to try to evaporate. Sooner or later, you'll build up pressure inside. The bottle will explode, and the water and alcohol will all evaporate before the alcohol can catch, unless you've already got an ignition source.
Yeah, I agree, Ben. That sounds weird. I can't even get my Coq au vin to flambe with like 100% proof brandy.
Yeah.
Like that seems far-fetched. Good explanation.
All right, let's go to usatoday.com. Hopefully no videos will autoplay because I hate it when that happens. So the claim is out there, but there's no data that says why it's bogus, even though a lot of people are asserting that is in fact bogus. Yeah, NFPA says that alcohol-based hand sanitizer car fires are not a severe threat. That's the National Fire Prevention people.
Yeah.
I would think we'd be hearing a lot more about it.
That's the thing. I think you would be hearing a lot more about it because my car included, I've carried hand sanitizer around in my car for years and it's never been a problem. So.
Yeah, and even at that, Ben, you're a better chemist than I, but alcohol has a lower, it's cool. I mean, it seems like it would take a lot to get alcohol.
Yeah, you have to flash it pretty well because, it does evaporate very readily. So just being hot isn't so much a danger. But if it's already at that vapor point and there's an ignition source, then that's when things can happen. In fact, at that car with the burned door, I almost wonder if something else happened and then it ignited.
Yep, exactly. There's got to be something else.
Maybe when maybe there was already heat going on and the bottle exploded, and that, of course, atomized that alcohol gel all over the fire.
Yeah, I suspect something else happened in that regard. I mean, it's all sensationalism, and here we are as people who want real evidence, and there is simply no evidence to be had, and that's especially with regards to that specific picture. And all the experts in the world are saying it's highly unlikely. None of the experts are stupid enough to say it's never going to happen, but all the experts are apparently saying it's highly unlikely.
Yeah, if there's any probability, you can't say it will never happen.
Right. Dawn, do we have time to talk about getting cars to talk to new devices?
Yes, I'd love to talk about that because I'd love to keep my cars for a really long time, and I've been exploring ways to turn, some of them have those, 81 pins or 18 pins, the little things that are in the glove compartment, and you're supposedly able to get an adapter. But those interfaces, I've seen a lot out there, and I've done some research. There's something called a Bovie 1000 wireless Bluetooth music interface adapter, a Coolstream CarPro, a Vizio wireless Bluetooth interface. So I'm exploring these, and the price points aren't too high, but do they work?
Yes, they do. I have one in my Honda.
And do they work where everything becomes like you're used to using in your phone, where you can tell it to play, music, tell it to give you, directions somewhere, and then plays through the speakers? Nice.
I think that's going to depend on your head unit, what functionality it has. Things like CarPlay and Android, what is that one called? Android Play or something like that. I think it depends on how your phone integrates with the system itself.
No, in my case, it doesn't do everything. It's not fully seamless integration. Beka's right. I think on the one hand, it does depend upon the head unit, but if you're taking an old radio with an old stock set of capabilities in it, and all you want to do is add Bluetooth to it, that's what most of these other devices you've mentioned do.
Which one are you using?
I cannot remember the name of it. I bought it because Crutchfield said it was the best thing to use for my particular car model, and I researched it, and now, of course, I'm drawing a blank on the name of it.
Well, and CNET, I was looking at them to see, what their recommendation is, but it also was very car specific. Like the Coolstream CarPro is for 2011 or earlier Mercedes. Mm-hmm. And I didn't realize that would be an issue. I wonder if it's the connector and the interface adapter, or
the fitment of it. They also, I think they expect people to not know how to cut out subframe or subdash. I'm sorry, not subframe, subdash. Because it's something I had to do when I was installing new head units was, forget the fitment. I'll go in there and cut whatever I need to cut. So it might have a lot to do with just your actual slot, how much room you have, where are your mounting screws, things like that as well.
You, Beka, are not the average person when it comes to.
I will take that as a compliment.
You're very above average.
Oh, I feel like I just got a nice report card. Doesn't run with scissors.
It's been an investigation that I've had, because definitely my 2004 convertible is just literally that radio could have been any decade prior to 2004. It's just a typical in the dash, and no way that you can at the moment interface. So good suggestions. I'm gonna have to dive into this a little deeper.
Now, I'll throw one more thing out there too, though. If you have an older car, and I mean older, like, early 80s or earlier, if you've got one of those ones that has 5 buttons and 2 knobs, you're still not out of luck, because this is something that, of course, you can do, something that plugs into the antenna, but hey, why fool around? You want good sound. Otherwise, you wouldn't be trying to connect your phone to it, right?
You sound like a commercial right there.
Well, I was going to say, and I haven't really used it yet, but something I got for my Lotus, which is a 1970 model, so it's a 5-button and 2-knob radio. Well, its radio was missing when I got the car, so.
Please tell me are you doing the retro one again? Is that the one
retro sound? Yes.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
These things can be set up to look like just about any old radio. They come with Bluetooth capability. You can also wire a Sirius XM tuner into them. They have one that's made to connect to them. You can do all kinds of cool modern things in a radio that looks like an old one. Yep.
I was wondering about that. I hadn't gone back that far to take a look and really think, do you just want to get a new unit? That's a good suggestion.
It's a toss-up. I mean, you could spend less money doing a quick Bluetooth insertion to give your car Bluetooth capabilities, which is what happens in my case now. I just sit down in my car, the phone automatically syncs via Bluetooth, and it's done. I don't have to touch anything. But the phone itself is what sits on my dashboard. It's what gives me my nav. It's what I have to still touch the phone, and if I want it to do something, I can't just speak at the car stereo to say, hey, do this, do that. And there are no extended display capabilities. But to Beka's point, I think it's not that much more to replace a car's stereo. I think I've got to give Crutchfield the plug here, because they make it easy. And if the idea is that I can just get a single DIN unit that just has Bluetooth capabilities and all that, I had that in my old Mazda. It was a beautiful, seamless setup. It worked just fine, just by replacing the stock radio. And some of the double DIN units they have right now actually have on-screen app interface capabilities. So like touching the thing in your car is just like touching your phone.
And I was going to touch on that a little bit. We're doing a lot of touching here.
Which is what I'm trying not to do.
Right.
Well, see, and that's the problem that I ran into. The difference between let's say, regular standard Bluetooth double DIN and a CarPlay for my iPhone, it was quite significant, the price difference. So I had gone with a double DIN Boss head unit that boasted of all the same kind of capability. But at the end of the day, when I got it all installed, I still had to touch the phone a lot.
Right.
To make it do things, because I could not do the app interface. So really, to make it that full idea that you want, that you can touch the screen and have the apps work, or you speak to your phone, you need to get the operating system that works with what you've got. So that the CarPlay, if you've got an Apple, the Android Play, or whatever it's called, if you've got an Android, you really have to do that. But there is that added cost point. I mean, you add those titles to it, and it seems to make it cost so much more.
So we have a 3-minute warning at hand here, and we have to answer our trivia question.
Oh, yes.
So just to wrap up our episode, who opened the first drive-in gas station? Was it Standard, Gulf, Esso, or Exxon? Beka, you go first.
I so wanted it to be the one with the dinosaurs. Which one? I'm trying to remember which one had the dinosaurs.
While she's thinking about it. Yeah.
No. Okay, wait. So Exxon, Gulf, Esso. Okay, somebody else go.
Go.
I'm going to say Standard, because I think Standard Oil was pretty out there and advanced. But so I'm staying standard.
Ben, what do you think?
I'm saying standard too, just for no better reason than my gut says so.
Right. And Beka, you got an answer?
I'm going to go with Esso because it's the odd man out on that list.
I would have gone with Esso myself. But the answer, according to this site, is Gulf. Gulf opened up the first station in Pittsburgh in 1913.
Uh-huh.
So my dad would have gotten that one right. I knew it was a Pittsburgh-based because my family's from Pittsburgh. So I was thinking Standard Oil. Wow.
So with 2 minutes left, I wanted to tell our audience, as always, thank you for joining us. We really appreciate that you're part of the family and that you listen to us. We always look forward to your feedback and suggestions for future topics and questions, which you can send to us either on our Facebook page or the thingaboutcars.com website. In the meantime, stay safe. We'll see you with another episode in about a week. See ya.
Bye.
Later on.
Thank you for listening. This has been The Thing About Cars. We'll see you on the road.